I've had the Xbox Series X for around 6 months now, and I think that's enough time to answer the question, is this the console to power my dreams? Hey, it's Samurai Kibiji, and I'll be sharing a few things here that I've loved about the Xbox Series X, and also couple little hiccups, as I call it, mainly one big one. And first impressions of this system were not the best. I have a video of me experiencing it. It's like my first day or two, and there were some things that I had a problem with, like how the internet got super throttled on the system whenever I was playing something. I've had some people say, well, that's always been a thing for every console. Maybe it has. I could have sworn my Xbox One was able to not be throttled on the internet when I was in the homepage, you know, as long as I wasn't playing the game. But the Xbox Series X, it's like, even if you're on the homepage not doing anything, internet still's throttled. Or even when you have the console off, it seems like that, but feel free to correct me if you haven't been experiencing that. And the other thing that was happening on my day one stuff was I just wasn't able to play certain things. Like if it had, I noticed specifically, an optimized for Series X patch for the game, then it became really difficult to play it sometimes. Like if I just wanted to play the game without the patch, then it just would quit the game instantly. And sometimes it still does that today, to be honest. And these are just kind of like things that, yes, were kind of an inconvenience, but I've gotten kind of used to them over time and made them work. I don't know if I've gotten used to 4K yet, but take it from me, I'm a guy that was going from like playing things in 1080p on an Xbox One S, going to at the time, people were saying the LG C10 was the most recommended TV for these next gen systems. So I got one, went broke, and I don't know, 4K just isn't too noticeable to me personally, unless I'm like super duper close to it. The main thing that's super noticeable about this system that I just love is the frame rate and the quicker zoom feature. Quicker zoom just keeps blowing me away with the things that it's doing. I literally have unplugged this console to, you know, Twitch stream because I mostly game in my living room because that's where the nice TV is, but I've unplugged it so many times. I had a moment with my patrons because we have game nights every other Saturday and we play Jackbox now and then. And I played Jackbox with them like back in January. And then I just recently did it with them in May, and then all of a sudden, it's just right where it was. Jackbox like 4 months later. But it just doesn't seem to be consistent enough for me to know when it's working. There was a recent patch though, like actually, it came out after I wrote this video. I'm so happy that we can now see like what's in reserve on quicker zoom. When you go to my games and apps, you can see like the games that supposedly are on quicker zoom. Some games work on quicker zoom and some don't. I noticed when I played through a couple indie games recently that some worked and some didn't. It seems like most mainstream AAA games work, or like the first party Xbox stuff, but when it does work, it's so cool. It's mostly going to be for single player stuff though, because I've noticed, for instance, when I do Battlefront 2 recently and Master Chief Collection used to do it fine, but recently these multiplayer games, these two that I just said, when I use quicker zoom on them, I can play the campaigns fine, or like just the local on system stuff. But whenever anything involves multiplayer, that's when it just says like, hey, we don't have a network access or something like that. So I restart the game and do it. So as assumed, you know, it's mostly for a single player thing. Like I love doing it with Doom when I went through the Doom Eternal DLCs. It just remembers where you are. Instead of having to boot up the game and load it and get back to that spot, you could just leave it there, jump into your other single player, and jump back and forth without having to deal with all the loading stuff. I just now thought of this. That feature sounds like it could be really useful for Returnal right now. And the load times, I don't really have too much to say because yes, they are nice. Like they're just enough for me to notice them, but I've never really minded load times unless it's like Jedi Fallen Order, where you had to wait like almost a full minute to get back in. It is funny when I play Minecraft Dungeons with my buddy and I load in like full on 20 seconds before he does, but I don't know if that's the Xbox or my internet connection or both. So I don't know. The most noticeable thing to me is the frame rates. The frame rates is 100% to me the most next gen thing I have been noticing, to be honest. Many games I played on my Xbox One a lot are just a lot smoother now. I don't know if that's a VRR or if that's my TV, but it's just nice. You could actually see it in my first impressions video when I played Minecraft Dungeons, and that was before it got optimized. that was the most notable game. Like, I played Ori in 4K and I didn't get too into Gears, but like at the time I was just like, damn, Minecraft Dungeons is the most noticeable thing. A great example is the game Second Extinction. It's in preview right now, and I was playing with my friends and they were both on their Xbox Ones, and I was stunned. Like, they sent me a clip of them playing and it was so choppy. And then I sent them a clip of me on my Series X and it was just butter smooth, and he was freaking out. He's like, dude, that's a night and day difference. And while the frame rate is the bigger deal to me personally, there's still visual upgrades like Gears 5. Yes, I know that game can go like 4K 120 frames or something like that, which is cool. I've done 120 frames in Gears 5. I've done 120 frames in Master Chief Collection, but it's more of a feeling. Like, I feel the 120 frames rather than see it. But the things I do see is, like in Gears 5, they have some seriously upgraded textures and lighting and shadows. Like it's just enough to kind of notice it. But then I had a buddy of mine try out the Chivalry 2 beta or demo or whatever it was on my Series X. And there was an optimized version of it. We upgraded it. He tried it out and he was like, this is nice. What's really jarring is to see the 60 frame cutscenes. Like, I went through Gears 5 again recently, and when I saw the cutscenes just go from, like, they're in 60 frames, and that was weird. I got to see that in Miles Morales as well on the PS5, but it's weird to see that these consoles are what's going to make like 60 frame per second cutscenes probably be the standard thing, because it does make it really seamless to go from that to gameplay. It just makes them seem like they're totally one and the same. The main hiccup I've had with this console is the controller. I love that the controller has the share button on it, by the way. Super nice that I don't have to open up the dashboard to save stuff, but it did kind of crap out on me. And I hear that's happened to some people, but not everyone, of course. Everybody's experiences are different. Maybe I was just wiggling a joystick too hard or something. I started to get some joystick drift, and it was annoying. I thought it could be because of this new wireless SteelSeries headset I got, but that's not true, because I tried it with one of my super old, like over 3 or 4 years at least old Xbox One S controllers. Worked fine. But in terms of hardware problems, that's really it. The console is stupid quiet. Like, I go up to it and I barely can hear it. It's really portable. I feel like it's kind of like a cubed baby, because when I unplug it from everything, it's a nice weight, and I feel like it could just slip into a backpack very well, but be careful. While there isn't a super duper AAA Xbox Series title for these systems, there is a good handful of AA ones, and they piqued my interest, and I've downloaded them and added them to my system thanks to, yes, Game Pass. I already did a video about Game Pass. You could look into that up in the cards above. That's an entire other topic, but just briefly, I had these piqued interest in these AA games that are exclusive to the system, but I just haven't really gotten to them because there's just too much other shit to play that I get to like see in 4K and like locked frame rates for the first time. It was so funny because in like my first month or two with this system, my roommate sees me just playing Celeste, this super, 16-bit style game that isn't testing that hardware at all, but I'm just like, it's on here. There's just so much other games to play with Game Pass, and I don't care if they're new. I don't care if they're old, as long as it's a good game or a game that has my interest, that I can run it the best way I can on a freaking console. Let's go. It's at my fingertips because it's part of my subscription. But I am looking forward to some kind of lower key games that are exclusive. The Ascent, that's coming soon, and Microsoft Flight Simulator is another one that I've been dying to play on this damn thing. Not to mention EA Play. They strategically made that launch like around the day that this system launched, and that was genius because yeah, I've been experiencing the Mass Effect trilogy for the first time. Got to play Battlefield 5, which I never was gonna buy, but I gotta try it out, and I want to play A Way Out soon with my buddies. And the point of this whole thing is that yes, these are older games, but I'm getting to experience them for the first time in probably the most optimized console version I can. Basically, brand new Xbox controller, it started to drift on me. Quick resume could be a little bit more transparent in my opinion. The playing optimized games situation is sometimes for me gets a little bit confusing. It like sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. The good though, this system is incredibly quiet. Quick resume is overall awesome. Games have never looked better and especially smoother for me. And there's just an overwhelming amount of things to play on it. I feel like the system has really spoiled me. Like I just don't know if I could go back to being on an Xbox One, even though the experience isn't that different per se, you know, between like how the OS looks and how the controller feels and how, you know, what games are to play. It's just like you get kind of upgraded on everything. That's all. It's like the same experience, but much better. You know, you got higher frame rates, a more textured controller, you got the share button, and you got a background that can change with quick resume. It's just like the Xbox experience, but a bit more on steroids. What has your experience been like on this system? What has been your favorite games to play on it? Chat with me in the comments. I would truly love to know those. And for more game hype, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.